All right, so sizing generators, that's the big topic for this video is how big of a generator do I need? And so you could just go buy a really big generator and say I'm done. But the bigger the generator you have, the higher your fuel consumption rate is going to be. So my goal is I want to be as efficient as possible with my fuel. So if I have 6 propane tanks, or if I have a massive, 100-gallon propane tank, whatever I have, I want it to be able to run as long as possible. So I want my generator to be as small as possible, yet carry all of my essential loads. So today's video is going to be about my Champion generator. Details below with the link for the specific model. And I'm just going to run it and see how long is my runtime compared to the specifications in the manual, and that will tell me about where my load falls in that manual over time. Because granted, you're looking at a load chart at 50% load, your generator may not be 50% for 100% of the time. So I want to know over a period of time, 2, 4, 6, 8 hours, how much propane have I used compared to my manual. And so that'll tell me if I've got my generator sized for the most efficient means possible. So basically the goal here, if you look at your generator in the manual, there's usually some run times at 25% load, 50% load, 75%, and there's a fuel consumption over time. So it could be gallons of propane per hour, pounds of propane per hour, gallons of gas per hour. So basically, I want to know, where is my load in that lineup? Is it closer to 25%? Is it 50%? And it's not really the same, because over time, different devices kick on and off. Refrigerators turn on, compressors and freezers. So I'm doing a load test. I'm going to run my generator for about 10 hours and see how much propane I have left in the bottle, just weighing it. So weigh at the beginning, it's full. About 10 hours. I may do it at 6. Just stop it at some point, see how much fuel is left in that tank, and that'll be my consumption rate, real life. All right, so we're out here doing the generator test. Inlet box, propane tank, generator. 25% is the sweet spot for fuel efficiency. So basically this 30 amp inlet box, 120, it's screwed in, so this is not going to come out accidentally, and green indicator shows that it's getting voltage. And this goes into my panel box in the laundry room, where I have a sub panel that is a transfer switch. So that's basically all my essentials. All right, so here we are. Been running for 3 hours. Let's check out what we're sitting at. All right, so got everything turned off. Unscrew this bad boy. Man, look at all the condensation. It's such a humid day out. All right, so pull this up. Look at that. So right at the 3/4 mark of a 20-pound tank. Now this thing was full when I started. So that tells me running a quarter of a tank will get me 3 hours. So a full tank should get me 12 hours of runtime with my current load mix. Now I was being pretty aggressive. I had portable air conditioner unit and some ceiling fans running, as well as all the deep freezers, 2 refrigerators, even ran the microwave a couple of times. So pretty much the most I will ever use this thing, and I can do that for 12 hours on one 20-pound tank. So that's pretty great. If it was more of a long-term catastrophic situation, I may back off on the portable AC and just run that maybe just at night or a couple hours, just to kind of take the edge off. But at the very least, I know one propane tank will make my life very comfortable for about 12 hours. So, all right, that was a good test. So after all that testing, it was a great time to go ahead and just change the engine oil in my generator. Most generators, somewhere between 30 and 40 hours of runtime, you want to go ahead and change the oil. I've only been running mine like once a month for maintenance, so that was the first long period of time that I ran the generator. So after all my months of maintenance and that 3-hour stretch, I decided to go ahead and just change the oil. That way I know what my runtime is and I know I have good oil, so I'm ready for hurricane season. So okay, now let's look at some numbers just for comparison. So this is the Generac Guardian series, comes in 20, 22, and 24 kW. This is probably the most popular home backup generator. So when somebody says, hey, I want a generator, I want the best, this is usually, they go for something like this. And now this is great, powers your whole house. But now let's just look at that. The bigger the generator, the higher the fuel consumption. So let's just say we come down here to the spec sheet. Let's just look at the smaller one, the 20 kW. So here, let's just look at propane. Since the generator I was just running, we were looking at propane. So in propane, we're gonna look at the little parentheses here. So this is gallons per hour in the parentheses. So for that 20 kW unit, we're gonna come down 2.37 gallons per hour of propane at 50%, at half load. At full load, 3.56 gallons of propane per 1 hour. Now, just as a reminder, a 20-pound propane tank is 4.7 gallons of propane. So at full load, you are using almost an entire 20-pound propane bottle for 1 hour of runtime. That's insane. So let's maybe back up, look at something smaller. So like this Champion standby generator, 8.5 to 14 kW, so about half the size of the Generac Guardian. Let's go down and look at the run times on that one. So let's just say, hey, I want to look at the smallest one. So if we go to fuel consumption, here we go. All right, not natural gas, we want to look at propane. So propane is here. So at half load, I want to look at gallons per hour, 1.1 gallons per hour at half load, 1.6 at full load. So that's a lot better, but that's still only going to give you about 4 hours of runtime on a 20-pound propane tank. Now, obviously, you wouldn't use a 20-pound propane tank for a whole home install like this. You'd have a big 100, 250, 500, or 1,000 gallons. But still, if you're thinking about fuel conservation, making this last as long as you can, maybe you have a big 500-gallon tank. Maybe it's not all the way full. So how do you stretch that the farthest? A whole home generator like this, that's great for, short-term duration, but over time you're going to fly through that fuel. So I also did some more research. Probably the smallest whole home generator you can get, at least that I've found so far, is a Generac Power Packed, which is 7.5 kW. Now, coming down here to the load, okay, so gallons per hour in the propane section, half load, 0.87 gallons per hour at half load, 1.4 gallons per hour at full load. So that's about the best I've seen for whole home standby generator. But now, just for comparison, let's go back to my portable unit. So this is the spec sheet for this one. A little bit of discrepancy here. This says it runs for 21 hours on a 20-pound tank and 22 hours on propane. It's actually 21 and a half, and this is at 25% load. So this is a little bit skewed because we need to get this at 50% load. Now, when I was running my test, I believe I was pretty close to 50% loaded based on my test. So we're gonna do the numbers at 25% and then numbers at what I think is close to 50%. So again, 20-pound propane tank, 4.7 gallons. If you divide your gallons by the number of hours at that runtime, at 25% loading, this generator should run at about 0.22 gallons of propane per hour. So that's incredible. So 0.22 gallons per hour versus something like this, 2.3. So it's 10 times less, about 10 times less fuel consumed. Now, granted, that's at a 25% loading rate. So let's go back and look at my test. if I estimated about 12-hour runtime based on my loading, out of that 4.7 gallons divided by 12 hours, that gives me, about 0.39 gallons per hour. So I can stretch that one propane bottle to last for 12 hours. So that's a really great efficiency. And again, just going back to say something like the Generac Power Pack. So the most efficient you can get, at least for home standby generator, is going to be double what I'm getting out of this small portable unit. So it's just insane. So that's basically the whole point for this test, is to basically say, how much fuel am I going to use to keep my essentials on? Now, granted, you can run more with these bigger generators, but do you really need it? And so I want to be able to have everything that I need on as small of a generator as possible. So this is what I've got right now. I don't know, maybe 5 years from now, maybe this will be too small. Maybe this won't work. But again, with this, I'm running a portable air conditioner that I have in the bedroom, 4 chest freezers, 2 full-size refrigerator freezer combos, and then just base load like lights and things that just don't really draw a whole lot. Now, if I need to use something like the microwave, I may turn off the air conditioner just while I'm using the microwave, because that draws a lot. So again, you can do a lot with less. So think about that when you're purchasing a generator. What do you have to run? Try to find that to hit about 50%. And if you have, say, closer to 4 kW worth of load, you may have to get something a little bit bigger. But for me, sitting around 2,000 watts, that's perfect. So look at your running wattage, cut it in half. So between 1,600 and then your peak starting watts for like compressor motors, things like that. So again, focus on fuel efficiency, because that's going to be what gets you through a prolonged outage scenario.